What's up, guys? I'm Tim. This is New Craft Workshop, and it's that time of the year. It is time to start prepping for the holiday season. We got some fall builds and your favorite Christmas builds, and that's what we're starting with today. So let's get right after this. All right, guys, so let's get started with project one. Now, project one, we are going to be utilizing some 1x4 material from the big box stores. Now, when you head over to the big box store, you're gonna find your 1x4 material, 1x material in general, labeled as common and premium. Just get the common for this, unless you're gonna stain it. If you wanna stain it, you're probably gonna want premium. But if you're gonna stain it, I would recommend probably making it out of something other than pine anyway. So we're gonna use some 1x4 common. And as with everything that we do on our beginners series and our holiday build projects, we're gonna pop up a cut list and we're gonna pop up a tool list. That's gonna give you everything you need to know as far as getting the cuts and the tools ready to build this project. This shouldn't take you long. Either one of these projects today should go fairly quickly, so let's get to it. All right, let's get right into this cut list. Now, I'm gonna show you on video each one of these pieces as we talk about the cut list, because sometimes our angles are gonna run parallel with each other. Sometimes our angles are gonna run into each other. So it's gonna be easier for me to show you, but let's get right after this cut list. So the first thing we're gonna need is a bunch of pieces cut where our angles go into each other. And all of the measurements I'm going to give you here are measured on the long side of each of these boards. We're going to need one at 8 inches. We're going to need one at 8 7/8. We're going to need one at 9 3/4, one at 16 1/2, and one at 22 3/8. Then we're going to need 4 pieces where our angled cuts are going to run parallel with each other. We're going to need 4 pieces. Those are 8 inches long, and as you can see right here, we're measuring from the long cut on one side to the short cut on the other side, and I'm probably not explaining that properly. That's why I'm showing you on video. All right, we've got our cut list. Now let's get over here to our tool list. Now this one's gonna be super simple. You're gonna need basically 2 things. You're gonna need some wood glue, and you're gonna need your brad nailer. If you wanna drive some screws in this thing and make it super sturdy, then by all means, feel free, because what do we always say on this channel? That's right, make it your own. Don't forget, once you make it your own, because who knows, you might wanna build this thing like 15 levels tall and stick it in your living room and make it a shelf for Christmas. I don't know, but you do. And when you're done, head down to the description of this video and you're gonna find a link to our Facebook group page. If you haven't already joined, please join our Facebook group. Show me your projects, show us your builds. Let's talk shop, give each other tips, pointers, and let's grow our Facebook community. Enough about that. Let's get this thing assembled. And the first thing we need to do is we're gonna head over to the miter saw and we're gonna get everything cut. Now listen, if you have a table saw and you prefer to make these cuts on your table saw with your miter gauge, feel free. My saw is more than adequate. It's very accurate, but you do you. Make it your own. Let's go. So while I'm cutting this material over at the miter saw, let me just kind of show you guys. This is how it's going to come together in the next step. And this thing is completely scalable. I've made mine 3 levels tall, but you could follow the same process of lining up your 8-inch pieces, measuring your next cut, bringing that down level after level. I wouldn't go too much taller than this. I know I joked with you at the beginning about 15 levels tall. That's a little overkill, but yeah, this is scalable. Build another level or 2 if you want. Just remember, this thing's gonna get really big at the bottom. So yeah, let's finish this up. All right, we're back from the miter saw, and this is kind of how this thing is gonna lay out. Next step is to get this assembled, and this one's going to be super easy. This is where we're going to need our brad nailer. Again, if you don't have a brad nailer, feel free to just use a hammer and nails, but a brad nailer is going to make it a whole lot easier. And we're going to need our wood glue. So let's get this thing assembled. We're going to pop a couple brads in each joint just to hold it in place while the glue dries. Once the glue sets up, this will be plenty firm and supportive enough for whatever you're gonna pop on this little shelf. So let's get this thing going. Okay, if you have T-track, I will tell you right now, something like this is gonna come in extremely handy when it comes to getting your stuff lined up properly. This little jig by Milescraft, one of my favorite new tools I've bought since I built my new workbench. So we're going to just adjust this at 60, lock this in place, and then we're going to take our triangle, which is our top piece, put it in here, pop some glue on it, and this is going to hold nice and tight at 60 degrees while we drive a few nails in. So we're going to get this top portion put together. Again, we're just going to glue, spread some glue around with the best glue spreader on the world right there. Pop this thing back in place, and then we're just going to drive a couple brads in there to hold it until that glue sets up. And I'm using 1 1/4 inch long brads. So I do want to make sure that when I go through this material, I'm not going at too much of an angle to where we're going to get blowout over here. So just take your time. Pop you a few brads in there, and we're going to move on to the next portion, which is going to be our base for this particular triangle. And then we'll just continue down from there. So let's do this. All of our joints here are 60 degrees, which means that we can pop everything together without having to move our angle stop right here. All right, so everything is together, and all we have to do now is get our 3 layers put together. They are going to go basically just like this, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're just going to use some glue, and we're going to pop a couple brads through here, and then this little tree is done. So I am going to glue this in place and pop my brads in from this angle, which if you don't have a brad nailer, figure it out. But you'll be able to figure it out. Hammer and nails is going to do the same exact thing. It's just not going to do it as easily as it is with your brad nailer. So a couple more and we are done. All right, and that is it for project 1. This cool little shelf made from 1x4s from the big box store. Couple shelves, couple angled cuts. You got yourself a cool little tree. As always, with everything I do on this channel, I'm giving you a basic blueprint, and then it's up to you to make it your own. Let's go, project 2. All right, project 1 is a wrap. Let's get on to project 2. Now this is that rough and rustic looking tree that I just showed you guys, and this is going to be the one we're using furring strips on. Now, if you don't know what furring strips are, or if you haven't seen them at the big box store, this is what they look like. They're rough. They are covered in knots. Sometimes you're even going to have bark on one side of the furring strip, and as a matter of fact, that's kind of a good thing because we're going for a very rustic look. So we are going to cut all of our furring strips with the exception of the longest one at a 15-degree angle. I'm sorry, I had to think about it for a minute. And all of our measurements, like previous build, are going to be from the long end to the long end. So let's get right into this cut list. For this project, we are going to need 1 piece at 6.5 inches, 1 piece at 10 inches, 1 piece at 13.5, 1 at 16, 1 at 19.5, 1 at 23, 1 at 26.5, and 1 at 38.5. Now for the base, I'm going to show you guys the absolute easiest base you can make. If you're fortunate enough, like I am, to have a table saw and you want to do like a half lap joint on the bottom, feel free to do that. That's going to give you a nice stable base, but this tree is going to be nice and firm when we're done. So for our base, we're going to need 2 pieces at 12 inches long, and we're going to need 2 pieces at 3 inches long. The way that's going to come together, you'll see shortly. And then we're going to need to stabilize the bottom of this because the furring strip is not very thick and we don't want to screw into that. And you'll see how this is all going to come together shortly. And for the side of that, we're going to need 2 pieces at 2 inches long. So that's our cut list. All right, and now let's head over here and look at our tool list. So the first thing we're going to need clearly is our saw. We need to get everything cut to length and get our angles cut. And you're going to need a brad nailer or a hammer and nails if you're doing it that way. You're going to need some wood glue. You're going to need some 1.25 inch long screws. And then I would recommend that you go ahead and grab your countersink bit so that we can pre-drill and countersink all of this stuff together. So nailer, saw, glue, yeah, that's it. Let's go. We're back from the saw and I'm just kind of getting everything organized as far as lengths. Of course, we're going to go biggest to smallest. And then all we're going to do with this one, this is going to be a really simple project and hopefully you guys are going to like this. So we're going to start at the top with our 6.5 inch piece. We're going to glue this in place and tack it with some brad nails. All right, and then we're just simply going to repeat this process. Now, I am going to just eyeball everything. And I'm just going to try to keep my distances between each board about the same. Doesn't have to be exact. That's the benefits of a rustic project. But we're just going to put some glue, some brads, and work our way down. I'm going to put 4 brads in either. I'm going to put 4 brads in every connection point here. And then we're just going to work our way down. So let's go. All right, this is where we're at so far. I mean, it's a freaking rustic Christmas tree. We're doing awesome today, guys. Next thing we need to do is we need to look at this base, and let me show you the easiest way if you don't have a table saw and a dado stack to make a half lap. We're going to simply put these 2 together and then fill in this space with our extra pieces right here. That's going to give us a level and sturdy base, and we're going to do the exact same thing here. We're just going to glue this, brad all of this together. When you are driving these 2 components together right here, make sure that you are not driving your brad nails in the center of this board because we are going to need to pre-drill a couple of holes in the center of this board to drive our screws in momentarily. So just pop you a couple brads on the 4 corners from the underside so you don't see them, and then we're going to countersink this thing. So another thing of glue and brads. And as you can see now, we are nice and sturdy and flat and level. And I got a little squeeze out right here, so I'll dry that up real quick. All right. We're going to attach this to this. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take these 2 extra little pieces that we cut right here. And the reason we need these is we're going to glue and tack these in place. And that's going to give some stability to our base because trying to drill some holes, come up through our base and into this thin little piece of material is going to be tough. So we're going to build this out with a couple of pieces right here. Once this glue dries and sets up, that's going to add some really good stability to this, and it's going to give us some area to attack with our screws to hold this in place. So glue, brads one more time. And just make sure on these components right here, when you're tacking them in place, that you are nice and flush on the bottom, because if you're not, then your tree is going to be all crooked and it's going to be hard to keep it stable. So just take your time and make sure that those line up. I know it's a rustic tree, but time to drill and drive. So I'm going to be using some exterior epoxy coated deck screws that look just like this. Get these things on Amazon and quit wasting your money over at the big box store, because these are freaking awesome. But yeah, all we're gonna do here is we're gonna pre-drill, and then we're going to drive some screws in, and this project is done. And right here is where I was telling you why we don't want to drive our brads in the centers, because this is where we're going to pre-drill for our screws to go through. Now, I am going to just kind of eyeball the center of this. I'm really good at just like eyeballing everything. I know that, guys. But I'm just going to kind of eyeball the center, and I'm going to put 2 countersinks in here. And I know earlier on the cut list, I said that we were using 1.25" long screws. I lied. Always trust the cut list. We're using 2.5" long screws because we need to get through this. Hopefully you can see this. Let me turn this so you guys can see. We need to get through all of this material and still have a good amount of thread up into the bottom of our tree. So these 2 are going to go right into the bottom of this right here. So we're going to need some more glue. I'm going to just leave that squeeze out there, because why wipe crap up if you're going to use it anyway? So, and then we're just going to get a screw started in here, pop it on here. Again, we're going to kind of just center this by eye and feel, hold this in place, and drive our 2 screws in. All right, that's it for our first build video for the holiday season. If you made it this far, you're almost in store for something really cool, and I hope you stick around till the very end, because I want to tell you something. So, couple quick things. 1, let me know down in the comments what you thought about these projects today. Number 2, while you're down there, click this button. It looks like this. It doesn't look like this. There's always one of you guys, and I know you know who you are, but I don't know who you are. But there's always one that clicks this. Click this, and while you're down there, subscribe if you haven't already. Also, down in the description, there's a link to our Facebook group. Please join our group. I want to grow this group. We share ideas and projects, and we ask questions. It's a great community. We're growing. We're getting close to 200 members, but I need you guys to help pump those numbers up. Finally, down in the description is also a link to every product we use when we build projects on the channel. It's my way of asking you to help our channel out without helping our channel out directly. It'll get you over to Amazon. Any and all of your shopping you do while you're there benefits Newcraft. Now, if you're still here, which lucky you, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but during the course of the video, there were random letters that would pop up occasionally on the screen. If you didn't pay attention, you might have to go back and watch the video again, but take those letters, unscramble them, and it makes a word related to the holiday season coming up. First 5 people down in the comments that post that word, I'll send you guys a free base camp dust mask for you to use out in your shop. I mean, it's getting close to Christmas. It's the season of giving, and I'd love to give back to the people that have helped get us where we are today. So that's all I got for you this time. As always, I appreciate you guys spending a few minutes of your time with us here at New Craft Workshop, and we will catch you on YouTube.